That's what we're here for. Jeez, this is very shiny. Mirrored heavens. Yeah, cat hair everywhere. Black Sun. I read this book a couple of years ago. I think it was just before the second book came out, but I never actually picked up the rest of the series. But the rest of the series is out. Books 2 and 3 are out. Borrow them from the library, obviously, because that's just what I seem to be doing right now. But this one is mine, and for the sake of the trilogy as a whole, I reread this book so, you know, I could familiarize, I can't say that word apparently, so I could go back into the world and, well, basically just remember everything that happened. I had a vague idea, but, you know, let's try to sum up this book, shall we? Because that's what we're here for. Anyway, so Black Sun is a masterful reimagination of epic fantasy that breaks away from Eurocentric norms, grounding its world in pre-Columbian cultures of the Americas, primarily the Aztec and Mayas. It's a richly layered novel that excels in world building, political intrigue, complex characterizations, setting a new standard for inclusive and innovative fantasy literature. So the story unfolds in the Meridian, a continent ruled by powerful city-states, with the holy city of Tova in the middle of it. It's a vivid, tangible world steeped in myth, astronomy, and prophecy. The societies are deeply textured, with unique languages, belief systems, and power structures. So we have three main POVs throughout. We have Serapio, who is a blind and scarred man raised to fulfill a cosmic prophecy. And then we have Ciala, a teak sea captain with magical song-based powers and a self-destructing streak. And thirdly, we have Narampa. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing these names right, okay? But anyway, she is the Sun Priest, navigating a corrupt priesthood and societal prejudice. So, at its core, Black Sun explores themes of destiny versus free will and religious and political power and the weight of societal expectations. It explores how people are shaped by trauma, belief, and the roles they are forced to play. That is this book. Now moving on to book number 2. Welcome to book number 2, which is Fevered Star, and geez, this is very shiny. Where can we... It's both very dark and very shiny at the same time. It's very reflective. Anyway, book number 2, Fevered Star. It picks up right after where Black Sun leaves us in its very explosive climax, which is good because when you've been through that, you want the answer straight away. Unless you know, read them when they came out, that's gonna be a annoying time. Anyway, so where the first book was a very tightly coiled build-up of faith, prophecy, and celestial timing, the sequel shifts gears, delving into the political, emotional, spiritual aftermath of that moment. This is a quieter, more introspective book, but no less powerful or important. So unlike Black Sun, which builds towards a very clear end point. Fevered Star is more fragmented, reflecting a world unraveling after divine violence. Pacing is a lot slower, often more meditative, and while this may frustrate a lot of readers, it does fit into the narrative of the story. So we still have our main 3 POVs from book 1, although we have a couple more in this one. I'm going to focus on the main 3 from the first one because we're kind of just following them mostly throughout. I mean, I feel like they're the most important ones, while the others give the oomph, as it were, to these main 3, but they are the main 3. So, Serapio, he is now a living god, but he's also an increasingly isolated and conflicted man. He is terrifying, but tragic. And then we have Ciala. She continues to be a standout. Her emotional arc here is quieter, more vulnerable. Her bond with Serapio deepens in very unexpected ways. Not necessarily romantic, but more profoundly intimate. Narampa may undergo the most significant growth. Once the idealistic, often naive sun priest, she's now become a complex leader, navigating trauma and political resistance. Also, her own transformation into something a little bit more than human. Book 2 is very much the now that the prophecy has been fulfilled, spoiler for book 1, the story kind of interrogates what comes next. Who holds the power when a belief system collapses? What replaces order when the gods return? This book takes the time to delve into the aftermath. It's more about the survivors than it is the heroes. So that is book number 2. So we'll move on to book number 3 in a sec. See ya. Third and final book, Mirrored Heavens. Yeah, cat hair everywhere. Yay. What has happened? What is happening? What is book 3? So, Serapio, he has become the Carrion King, the avatar of the Crow God, and he is now ruling Tova. A rule, but his rule is very precarious. He has enemies, both internal and external. There's forces everywhere, yeah. Ciala is now in Teak, where war is looming. Her people's magic, the song singing magic thingamajig, it has been diminished. The sea has gone quiet to her, and she must decide what she's willing to sacrifice to claim what has been promised. And then we have Narampa. Narampa is the sun god's avatar. She is in the northern wastelands in this book. She's haunted by visions of fiery doom, and she's being stalked by the jaguar god. Her arc continues to explore prophecy, dreamwalking, and her connection to Serapio's fate. The pacing in this third and final book is a lot different to the previous ones. Some parts feel like they are dragged out a bit more than it's necessary for the story, and then we have the prophecies. There are so many prophecies throughout this series. In this book, it feels like some of them are a bit too vague and not really given the answers for them. There's no real conclusion to it. It's like there's too many prophecies and not enough conclusions or answers to them. So, Mirrored Heavens is a ambitious, emotionally intense conclusion to a trilogy that hasn't been afraid to ask the questions about power, worship, identity, sacrifice, and what it means to be both mortal and divine. It delivers a lot of the things that one expects from a finale: large-scale war, moral ambiguity, tragedy, and love. But it's also giving room for uncertainty, for sorrow, for loss. So what begins as a prophecy-laden tale of celestial convergence and long-buried grievances explodes into a continent-wide reckoning with colonial legacies. So, all in all, it's a massive, powerful, important series in a way. Do I feel like I needed all 3 books? I kind of feel like, although I enjoyed the whole series, having now read all 3 books, I do feel like maybe book 1 should have been a standalone and had a... I mean, it ends in a good way, but it's very much a cliffhanger to what can happen next. And although book 2 and 3 explores the aftermath of book 1, because book 1 is like a very large build-up, and then it kind of implodes. And then we have picking up the pieces in book 2 and 3, and then the end of it. Although I enjoyed all of it, I do feel kind of like maybe book 1 should have been a standalone and had like a different kind of ending, an explosion like it does, but maybe a more conclusion type of ending than it did. So yeah, I'm a bit divided there. I like the whole series, but also I feel like maybe book 1 would have been enough. So kind of both ways here. Yeah. But do let me know if you've read this series, or if you're intending to read this series. And you know, I hope I haven't spoiled it too much. I think I've kind of kept it as spoiler-free as I can and still talk about everything. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye!